And welcome to In the 661, Youth Voices for Kern, where we talk about issues facing our community, but particularly our young and youth community. Alejandra Alberto is a reporter for South Kern Soul. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So just recently, of course, good to have you. You wrote a story about some DACA recipients. Tell me about where that started. How did you get on the trail of that story?
Well, basically, I know that DACA has been like a super important topic lately. So I just kind of wanted to bring it up, and especially since in our community we have many DACA recipients that are youth, I kind of wanted to have their voices heard, because I feel like not often the voices here in our community are heard, and I kind of just wanted to write a story about them in particular here in Kern County.
Can you share with me one of their stories that you thought was really impactful?
So this story in particular, Maria Mancilla, she reached out to me because I kind of reached out to people on Facebook. I was like, does anybody want to share their story with me? And she reached out to me personally because she felt like it was important to not only have her voice, but many of her friends also who are DACA recipients' voices heard. Her in particular, she felt it was important for this story to be let known, because often one of her biggest struggles was not being able to work, not being able to go to school, simply things that everyday people have the opportunity to do. And with DACA, she has the opportunity to be able to go to school, be able to drive, or just be able to work. So she felt it was really important that this was brought up.
And what do you think of all the controversy? I mean, that's part of the reason why people are perhaps afraid to come out, right? Because of all the controversy surrounding the program right now?
Not a lot of people wanted to come out because of the controversy. There's people that actually were afraid to have their name known.
Published?
Yeah, published due to this. So in regards to that,
what was it like trying to get some of these people to, I mean, you said that some of the people would give their name willingly, but some people were reluctant. What's it like as a reporter trying to get somebody to go on the record about something that is so personal and that potentially could?
I felt like it was difficult at first, because I feel like not a lot of people would believe it, because their name wouldn't be out there, or it would be anonymous. So I felt like it was kind of difficult, but also it's understandable. It's their life that it's put at risk. They're undocumented. People are afraid that just by stepping out of their door, they might not come back home, or just by leaving their family, they might not be able to come back home, especially with all the raids that have been happening lately. There's been a lot that have been happening in Lamont, in East Bakersfield especially, and many people were afraid of just walking out of their home and not being able to see their family the next day, or just going to work and being afraid that they might get caught up in with ICE and the raids or anything like that. So,
is that what stood out for you the most in reporting the story? Is the fear that kind of the community has right now?
Yes, definitely. Me, as I'm not undocumented myself, but my parents are, and I've seen fear within them. So it's kind of it touches me. So, and I also have friends that are undocumented as well. So it's something that's really touching, because I wouldn't want to come home and not be able to see my parents. So just putting yourself in their place is something that really impacted me to write this.
And what do you think about the national conversation that's going on regarding DACA right now? And I mean, you see the yelling that goes back and forth between people on the cable networks.
I feel lately, nationally, it's been really covered, which is really important, because nationally, there's been really marches, or
there's been a big discussion. I mean, what I think I'm getting the sense from you is that behind this national story are individual families. It kind of boils down to the personal level for a lot of people here.
It definitely boils down to the personal level, because at the end of the day, these are people's lives who are being impacted, not just one in particular, not just a few people here and there. It's everywhere, not only here in Bakersfield, but it's everywhere. And these are people who provide to us daily. People don't really realize it, but there's people who work for you that are undocumented, or that have family that are undocumented, and they provide to us with their efforts, with their hard work every day, and they pay taxes too here. Even though there's many stereotypes, even though there's much talk about these undocumented people, undocumented youth especially, they're all very hard workers, and they were brought here to this country without their own will. So they had no option. They grew up here in America. So America is pretty much like all they know, you know? So
what's your next story, do you think? Are you thinking what your next big story is?
my next story, well, I feel like it's very, like again, once I said, with the ICE raids that have been happening here lately, I feel like it's important that people know their rights. For example, let's say ICE goes to your work, or ICE comes to your door, or like they're just around your community. I feel like it's very important for everybody to know their rights. So I'm hoping to like write about know your rights, you know, and what to do like if ICE comes to your door, if ICE comes around your community.
So that's your next article?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
What do you like most about being a youth reporter?
Well, what I like most is because I feel like youth voices aren't often heard. And, you know, like I feel like, oh, you're youth, like you're not really important, or like your voice like doesn't really matter. So I feel like by being a youth reporter, like they might pay more attention to us. They might realize that, oh, like they do have voices, you know? So.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Alejandra. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining me on In the 661 Youth Voices for Kern.